Hi everybody, it's the end of the month, so it's time to show you all the pages I coloured during May of 2025. And there is quite a lot of pages to be showing you this month because I did have some time off work, so there was a bit of extra colouring time I managed to get this month. And you will also notice there was a few extra videos than usual this month because of that extra spare time. But next month I'll probably be going back to my usual schedule of posting every Wednesday with the occasional Saturday thrown in if I do get some extra time to be filming and editing. But for today, we'll jump right in and start looking at these pages because, as I said, there is quite a few. And this is the first one that I did colour this month. This is from Art Therapy Star Wars, an anti-stress colouring book. And this is one I coloured for Star Wars Day this year, which is, if anybody isn't familiar, that is May the 4th, as in May the 4th be with you. And this is the page I picked to colour in. It's one of the more complicated pictures in this book. Most of them are the kind of mandala or the more simplified, but this is one of the more complicated ones. And for this one, even though it is a double-sided book, I did do this one with alcohol markers, pretty much the whole thing with alcohol markers. A little bit of white gel pen, a little bit of a gold or a bronze Sharpie here as well. But as some of you may know, I am practicing trying to use alcohol markers as a medium on their own without bringing in the pencil shading, just using the alcohol markers. I think I did bring in a white pencil as well for a little bit of highlighting on these leaves. Well, I tried to simplify things quite a lot with this one, and I took the same kind of approach as the coloured image on the cover. And if we'll just flip back to the cover, we can see on this cover here we have most of these kind of florally bits coloured in the green with just a few flowers picked out in the colours. So that's what I went for. I did most of these kind of leafy floral bits in the green, just picked out a few colours in this really limited palette I wanted to have going on here. And I think it's ended up working really well. I tried to make the Death Star in the corner here look as if that was glowing like a little lamp in the corner, and try and make that look as if it was the light source glowing onto our Princess Leia here, with most of this area being lighter and the darker shadows coming down into the corners. Most of the shading was done with kind of a green grey sort of shades from my Hoo Hoo markers, and picking out the gold and the brown colour scheme there, trying to keep a really limited palette. The text here, I printed that out separately. I found it online, I printed that out, coloured that in, and then I stuck that on the top just to kind of enforce that this picture was coloured for the May the 4th. And I'm really happy with how this one turned out, to be honest. It's kind of an intimidating picture, but I think taking the approach from the front cover and just colouring most of this greenery green and leaving it as is, picking out a few flowers, that really simplified things. It would have taken forever to just go in and pick everything out with coloured pencils, each little flower and leaf. So I think, yeah, that's made for a really quick, really kind of impactful picture with that limited palette. So yeah, I was really pleased with how that one turned out. And as I mentioned, I did use alcohol markers, but I didn't show you the back of the page because I actually coloured the back of the page in another video. I showed how I rescued the image on the back of the page by colouring over the alcohol marker bleed through. So I'll turn this over to show you what we ended up with. And on this side of the screen here, I will pop up an image of how it looked with the alcohol marker bleed through going on. So we can see how we've gone ahead and worked on that and coloured over the top of that alcohol marker bleed through. And mainly that was with acrylic markers is what I brought in for this one. The acrylic markers I do have are not the best at being opaque, but I think I did manage to find a few that worked quite well there. The droid himself, I did end up using a few layers, I think, to keep going over the marker to make sure that he was opaque and you couldn't see what was going on behind. I picked a quite dark blue colour for the background to try and cover up what was going on there. And for the bits of the bleed through that were coming around the edge of our image, I covered all those over with black and turned it into a little kind of space scene there with a few star stickers just for a little bit of fun going on. I did bring in some washi tape for this kind of Art Nouveau sort of pattern here. And I liked this teal colour that was in the washi tape. The blue matched in quite nicely with this dark blue here. And I liked the teal, so I brought that into the outside of the pattern and worked with that as well. For the scroll at the bottom, I added in the Roger Roger, which is the catchphrase of these little battle droids in the kind of Star Wars universe. I would have rather had that more kind of parchmenty colour, but the best I could get at the time was this kind of mustard yellow, which works okay, I think. It's a nice contrast with the teal and the blue we have going on. And altogether, yeah, I was really happy to rescue the page. And before I forget, there was also some silver gel pen. around these edges of the frame here. That was the Uniball Signo gel pen, which is really opaque, and that was covering up the bleed through really nicely there. And yet the white gel pen brought in for a few highlights there, and overall pretty happy to be able to rescue that little droid on the back of the page there, and that one is a video on the channel if anyone is interested. So those are the two that I coloured in the Star Wars Art Therapy book. Next, we're moving on to the Icons in Colour, My Little Pony magazine. I let my little inner child out for this one, and I really enjoyed it, I have to say that. And I did colour two in here. The first one I coloured was this double page spread here. There we go. And yeah, I really enjoyed this one. It was really so much fun. And for this one, I again based it all in alcohol markers. We can see there. It is again a double-sided book, but I wanted to use my alcohol markers on this page and see if I could get the colours really bright, really cheerful. And I'm really happy with how this one turned out. I went on top with pencil shading this time as well. I think the clouds are just pencil. The rest is marker with the pencil shading. I brought in the white gel pen. I brought in, for the rainbow, I did bring in some glitter. Can we get that glittering in the labs there? Yeah, for the rainbow I brought in the glitter. And I did use a few different stickers as well on this one. I brought in some butterflies. There were originally some butterflies drawn on there, but they were really kind of cartoony butterflies, and I didn't really like them so much. I didn't think they fitted into the picture very well, so I covered them over with my own butterfly stickers, trying to keep the colours of the stickers matching in with the colours of the image there. I think I did bring in a couple of flower stickers as well here. Yeah, that one, all flower stickers, and again my star stickers. There were a few stars drawn around the outside. I covered those over with the different colour star stickers, and yeah, I had so much fun with this one. It really did take me back to my childhood quite a lot, and yeah, I'm really super happy with how that one did turn out. I think there is a couple of bits of gel pen as well, looking at it now. I think I did bring in a yellow gel pen to go around the outline of the sun. And I think I went around the outlines of these flowers with the different coloured gel pens, yellow, purple, pink, that kind of thing. Of course, yeah, my usual white gel pen as well. There's probably some gold or silver in there as well, because I was really going for it and having a lot of fun. Oh yeah, silver for these little bubbles here I brought in. But yeah, that is the one that I coloured there, that double page spread. And it did take quite a while, but yeah, I was really sad when it was finished because I really enjoyed doing that one so much. The next one, it was kind of the same kind of situation as the Star Wars book. I had used my alcohol markers to colour this page, which did bleed through to the back of this page. So it was again a situation of rescuing this page here. So I'll flip us over. This is the other one that I coloured, and I will pop up there a picture of what it looked like with the alcohol marker bleed through that I went ahead and fixed. And again, I pretty much fixed that using the acrylic markers. And for these areas in the background here where the alcohol marker was bleeding through, I tried to turn that into a kind of a cloud sort of situation with the pink and the purple, bringing in the colours from the pony herself and taking it into some sort of a cloud situation going on in the background there. A little bit of kind of Zen doodly stuff with the gold gel pen. And I think it works okay. Yeah, it covered up that bleed through, and it allowed me to colour the page, which again was super fun. Mainly acrylic markers on this one. I think I did actually bring in a little bit of pencil shading. There is some glitter on her cutie mark there, her symbol. I brought that in. Again, some butterfly stickers. I tried to give a sort of a marbled effect. Oops, going off camera. I tried to give a sort of marbled effect to this banner at the bottom and a sort of wood grain effect to this door. I tried to make it like a stable door with the wood grain. And yeah, it was quite fun. I brought in the stickers, as I think I did say, the hearts. I brought in some stars, which were originally drawn as stars there. The hearts were originally there as well. And the butterflies, again, the same kind of style butterflies as in the big picture that I wasn't too keen on colouring. So I brought in the stickers and covered those over. And there is gel pen as well for outlines on her mane and tail for these kind of rainbow colours here. And yeah, all in all, really happy with how that one has turned out. And again, it's super fun to be doing. I do love My Little Pony. I have since I was little. So yeah, those pictures there were super fun to be colouring. And those are the two that I have done in the Icons in Colour My Little Pony magazine there. Next, we're moving on to Colouring Heaven Steampunk Special. This is by Hannah Lynn. And this one was an issue that I bought off of eBay. It was a second-hand issue, this one, as it is out of stock on the website. And when I bought it, there was a couple of pages that were originally coloured in. This one is a video on the channel where I went into one of those pages that was originally coloured in, gave it a little bit of a makeover. There wasn't much of one needed, but I did go in and add some shading and stuff. So I'll show you what we did end up with. There we go. This is what we did end up with if I get rid of the bookmark there. And again, on the other side of the screen, I will pop up the original colouring of this page so we can have a bit of a comparison, see them both together there, what we did end up with and what we started with. And I think basically all I really did was go in with pencils and give a little bit of shading. I think I did bring in some stick-on crystals as well for her hat and for these button kind of bits on her gloves and her collar. The background and these kind of steam clouds in the background were actually coloured with alcohol marker. We can see there they were originally coloured with alcohol marker, as with her wings. But for these steam clouds, I dabbed it with a little bit of hand sanitizer gel on some kitchen paper, I think. It was a while ago. I think it was on kitchen paper. I dabbed that on to give more of a kind of, cloudy sort of look to those steam clouds there. I did bring in the hand sanitizer gel as well to give this kind of leather effect going on here, because these straps were kind of a very intense luminous orange. So I covered those with a brown and dabbed it with the sanitizer to let a little bit of the orange show through, and I think that's given a really nice leather effect there. But most for the rest of it, all I did was bring in some pencils for shading, a little bit of white gel pen for highlights. In the background here, that was originally blank, I think, and I tried to do a bit of a gradient with my alcohol markers, as I am trying to practice with the alcohol markers and get those gradients going at the moment. I think I added the stars, those weren't there, I added those in, I think, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. I did try and stay as true to the original as I could there, so hopefully if the original artist is watching, you're as happy with the result as I am, because I'm really pleased with how that one has turned out. And that one is from the Steampunk special, Colouring Heaven. That is by Hannah Lynn. The next one I'm going to show you is from the Tarot colouring book. This is by Alexis E. Thomson. And this one is going with my theme for the month, which was storms. I did manage to get a few coloured for that theme, so I'm quite happy with that. But this one is going for that theme of storms. And it is the Tower. There we go. This is what we ended up with here. And this one is also a video on a channel showing how I shaded on top of the alcohol marker here, put the pencils on top, and what kind of a difference that makes to the alcohol marker to put the pencil shading on top. It is something I do quite a lot. I am practicing at the moment, trying to get my blends with the alcohol markers going on, with the aim of being able to colour whole pictures just with the alcohol markers and get the same kind of depth of shading that I like to have. But for the moment, I'm sticking with putting the pencil over the top of the alcohol marker and just working that way. And yeah, I did like how this one turned out. As we can see there, we do have the alcohol marker as a base there. I think for the castle in the middle, I tried to keep that one mainly with the alcohol markers. A tiny bit of pencil shading. I think I brought in some black there and some blue to outline this lightning. There's some gold gel pen to outline the flames here. And for the flags, I did bring in some washi tape there. It's a glittery washi tape. I'm not sure if that will be showing in the lamps. I'll see if I can get it glittering a little tiny bit there. There we go. I tried to give a kind of a marbled effect here. And that was kind of by accident, because my grey markers were really running out and there wasn't much ink left in them at all. But I did manage, with a little bit of scribbling and really trying to get the last dregs of ink out there, end up with this kind of marbled effect here, which I think is pretty effective. That kind of patchy ink I was getting because the markers were running out kind of helped with that, and that's what it suggested to me. So that's what I went with, and I think, yeah, that works really well, especially with the black and white effect I wanted to have going on with the castle, having the colours towards the outside. I think there is some gold, either gel pen or Sharpie, to go around this frame here. The rest, alcohol markers, and for the border, I brought in the pencils for shading. I'm not sure there is a lot of detail to be showing on that one. The past few have mainly been acrylic markers, so not much detail at all, but I'll try bring that one up a tiny bit closer, see if you guys can see a little bit of any detail I do have going on there. Yeah, I was really pleased with that marbled effect. And yeah, that is the one that I coloured in the tarot colouring book. I thought that fitted in quite well with my storms theme, with that lightning strike going on there. So there we go. That one is from the tarot colouring book by Alexis E. Thomson. The next one was also picked to go with my Storms theme for the month. This one is from the Stranger Things Unofficial colouring book, and this one was actually a buddy colour with Crafty Claire. So I'll be popping both versions up on the screen here so we can see both side by side. And the one that I decided to colour in here is this one here, with Will and the Mind Flayer there. And I will pop Claire's version up on the other side of the screen if I can flatten the book out so you can see both together there on the screen. And I really love the way Claire's done the background with that monster and the oranges and the fiery colours in the background. I think that's worked super well. So yeah, it was really fun to be doing a buddy colour for this one. For mine, it's a little bit rainbowy there. And what I did, I looked up the colours in the original poster art and I played around with those with markers. It is an alcohol marker base there, but I do have a few copies of this book, so yeah, I wasn't too bothered about losing anything on the back there. You might be able to see there is some trees in the background here, some quite detailed little leafless trees, and I just completely ignored them. I just went over those with the alcohol marker. I wasn't about colouring those trees, so I just went completely over them, just blended those markers, tried to get a bit of a misty look going on in the background there. Shaded over the top with a little bit of pencil. I think there is a little bit of glitter gel pen as well around some of these lines in the sky here. There is white gel pen for the lightning bolts or lightning strikes there. And then for Will himself, I gave him a marker base and then I came in with the Prismacolor pencils to give him a little bit of shading. There might be a little bit of acrylic marker for the outline. I can't remember. I think there might have been acrylic marker on the outline, maybe on his hair to try and give that the glow I had happening here, kind of glowing onto his hair there. But yeah, once I'd done all the colouring, I went around the edges with a black chalk pastel and kind of blended that into the middle to make sure the edges of the page were a lot darker, to give that kind of gloomy, sort of upside down feeling to it. And then I brought in some glittery washi tape. You can see here around the edges that is glittery washi tape. I'm not sure if it will be glittering, but yeah. And on this edge here is a silver washi tape because I made a few marks onto the other side of the page with my alcohol markers, and I just covered those up and called it good. But yeah, that is the one that I coloured here. Can I bring that up for any closer details? I'm not sure there is many closer details, but we might be able to see a little bit of the glitter gel pen there, maybe. I don't know. But there we go. That's the one that I've coloured in the Unofficial Stranger Things book. Next, we're moving on to the Colouring Heaven Mermaid special. And this is by various artists. There is a few different artists in this one. And this one was the magazine that got picked out for my random generator challenge this month, which is really cool because it fitted in with the mermaids theme for Mermaid, so I was quite happy about that. I randomised an image. I think I randomised a challenge for this one, which ended up being fade your colours into white rather than blending your colours into lighter shades and getting tones and highlights that way. You fade your colours out into white and give a kind of different effect. I randomised a colour palette and I think I did go for the right one this time, so go me. And I randomised an embellishment, which was stick-on crystals. So yeah, quite a fun one, this one. Very interesting. And this is the mermaid we did end up doing. This was the colour palette we ended up going with. Quite a limited palette, more green and teal, which again fitted quite nicely with the mermaid theme. So yeah, it's all good. And I was really pleased that this mermaid actually has the lightning bolt, which goes again with my storms kind of theme for the month. Okay, only vaguely, but yeah, there is a link to my theme and I was quite happy with that. And I'm really pleased with how she did turn out, actually. It's a different kind of effect than I usually go for. I usually do end up blending from darker colours into lighter shades to get the effects that I want, and I couldn't really base with anything because I was blending into the white, so we needed the white of the paper to be showing through. It was quite a busy picture to have just a limited palette for, so it was quite hard to pick what colours to use for each areas. I did end up leaving this rope white because yeah, we did have a very limited palette of colours there and I couldn't think of what colour to do it basically, so I just left it white and I think it works okay. It's not the focus of the picture, the mermaid is the focus of the picture, so yeah, I think she's worked out really well after all that puzzling out how to use the different colours there. I did bring in the crystals as well. I brought in a couple of bigger ones there, kind of a greenish sort of crystal for a forehead gem and for her necklace. There's a teeny tiny green one there as well. And mostly around the outside I brought in these kind of little diamond sort of ones. We can get those showing up there, the little diamond sort of crystals as extra bubbles in the background. Yeah, quite pleased with how she did turn out. It was a little bit of a challenge because I've never really done this blend into white kind of idea before, so it was a bit more of a challenge than I usually actually have with these random generator pages. But yeah, overall quite pleased with how she turned out. Really pleased it ended up with a mermaid for Mermaid, and that one is by Neleke Shoemaker from the Mermaid Special Colouring Heaven. That one is a video on the channel. It's the latest random generator video, that one. This one is also a video on the channel. This is Jasmine Becket-Griffith's Mermaids colouring book, again for Mermaid. I don't usually colour anything for Mermaid, to be honest, because mermaids aren't really something that I am drawn to. But this one I found had a bit of a storm going on in the background, storm at sea. So I thought that fitted in quite well with my storms theme and with the mermaid theme, so I went with it. And this one, I'll show you what we ended up with. And this one I tried to use my super tips as watercolour, which works really, really well in these Blue Angel books. The paper is fantastic for using the super tips as watercolour. She is a video on the channel, so you can see the process of actually doing that. And I tried to go with the same kind of colours in Jasmine's original artwork, the same kind of blue-grey, and then the mermaid with this kind of yellowish tone to her skin. Hopefully it's showing up on camera. Her skin does have a yellowish kind of base there with alcohol marker. The mermaid herself, yeah, I did base with alcohol markers. There we go, the mermaid herself is based with the alcohol markers, the yellow shaded with a kind of blue-grey for her skin, a dark blue for her hair. The rest is Crayola super tips used as watercolour, with drawing with the super tip onto the paper and then bringing in the water on a clean brush and just adding the water to get all these lovely effects. And I do love doing this in the Blue Angel books. Yeah, it works really, really well. That might inspire me to work more in this Mermaids book, actually, knowing that I can get all these really nice effects with the super tips. But yeah, it was a super, super fun one to do. Again, trying to get the effect of the lightning, giving the light into the scene. I did add in some brighter blue into her hair, I think, that wasn't actually in the original artwork. Well, not that I could see on my reference picture anyway, but my tablet isn't the greatest. I added that in to try and give the effect that the lightning is shining onto her hair and give some quite drastic shading and shadows going on with her skin here. Trying to copy that from the original art, and a little touch of colour with the pink lipstick. I remember not being too happy with this wave as I was colouring it in. I wasn't too happy with how that was going because it wasn't looking the same as the original artwork. But in the end I just thought, well, it's my picture, it's my version, it doesn't have to be the same, and I went with it. And I think it does work. In the end it all kind of comes together and gives this really kind of stormy sky and sea there. I did end up again going for the glittery washi tape around the outside to frame everything off because I'm not the neatest, and I did have bits of colouring going over the edges, bits of smudges happening there, so I put in the washi tape to neaten everything off there. I'm not sure there's much detail to be looking at, but we will zoom in there. You can see that glittery washi tape a little bit closer there. Yeah. And she's a video on the channel, as I said, showing the process there. Mainly focusing on the sea and the sky, but I do include how I coloured the mermaid as well, if anybody fancies a bit of a colour along using the same kind of colours. But there we go, that is the Storm at Sea, or Sea Storm mermaid that I coloured from Jasmine Becket-Griffith's Mermaid colouring book. This next one, I kind of stretched the boundaries of the storm theme for this month there. It was a theme that my other half gave me for this month, as it is his birthday month, and he is into Marvel comics and stuff, so I think maybe he might have approved of this, and I went for it. If anybody has watched the X-Men, they will know that there is a character called Storm, so I took this book. This is Ladies of Leisure by Zan von Zed, and I took one of these ladies and I changed her into Storm, the X-Man from the movies and comics and stuff. There she is. I'm not as much of a Marvel fan as he is, so I looked her up online, and this is some art that I found with this kind of costume, which is not much different than the costume the lady was actually wearing. I'll pop up a version on this side before I started working on this lady, because I did change it quite a bit. There was some flowers in the background here, kind of flowery wallpaper pattern that I just went straight over with the alcohol marker. The lady herself I did colour with the alcohol markers, pencil shading. There might be a little bit of acrylic marker as well for this kind of blue sort of aura she's got crackling around her, because anybody not familiar with the X-Men, Storm can basically summon storms. She kind of controls the weather, she can make storms and lightning, so yeah, I added in the lightning bolts around her, and I think this around her head, flowing around her head here, that was ribbon, and I turned that into lightning. Just added in a few little kind of jagged lightning bits going on. I ended up spattering with, I'm not sure if that was white ink or white paint of some sort. I spattered onto the background there because this part was looking a little bit bare, so I spattered in the white paint for stars or electric particles or something kind of magical happening in the air there. And I went right around the outside with a silver Sharpie, again because I'm not the neatest, just to frame everything off. And yeah, really happy with how she turned out. I'm not sure if this costume is a costume that Storm actually wears, if anybody is big on the X-Men, I don't know. I found some art, I'm not sure if it was fan art or official art, but I like this costume with the black and the kind of gold, so I went with that. And yeah, I think it's turned out really nicely, plus it helped me to cover up the patterns that were on the lady's costume already. It worked really well for that, so yeah, super pleased with how she's turned out. I think she's one of my favourites this month. And that one is from Zan von Zed, the Ladies of Leisure, the first Ladies of Leisure, I think, that one. So there we go. As I said, quite a few to show this month. Next, we're moving on to mermaids, Manga Mermaids and Other Sea Creatures. And this one was an idea I had when I found Create This Book 2 in the charity shop. See there, 150 in the charity shop. And I thought about using the prompts from that book instead of using them for art and kind of creative stuff in the actual book itself. I could translate the prompts into colouring pages. So this is the first prompt, which was called Create Confetti. And basically you were supposed to cut up little bits of paper and stick them into the book. But what I thought of when I read cutting up little bits of paper and sticking them down was mosaic. So that's what I went for with my colouring page. This one is also a little short video on the channel showing the process, which was very fiddly, very messy, and I'll probably make a few changes if I do try it again. But this is the mermaid here, and for the mermaid herself, I just coloured her really quickly, trying to do a gradient, again doing a gradient with my markers, going from green through yellow, peach, pink and purple, every colour apart from blue pretty much, because I figured I wanted blue to go into the background as this mosaic here. I did draw in the circle, which in hindsight would have been easier to do a square. It was kind of fiddly trying to get these pieces to fit into the kind of circular sort of area I had, so that is something I did learn. These pieces of paper were 3 different scrapbooking pieces of paper that I just cut up into random pieces and stuck them down, trying to make a gap in between them to sort of look like a tile or pottery mosaic there, which I think does look pretty effective. And then with a hole punch, I punched out some holes from a glittery silver piece of paper, and I stuck those on to sort of resemble bubbles or something along those lines. And again, to go with that confetti theme, which is supposed to be the prompt for the page, is confetti, so I thought those might add to the kind of confetti idea. And yeah, it was fun. It was messy, but it was quite fun. It would have been a lot easier, as a couple of people have suggested to me by now, to colour the background and draw in these lines as to make it look like mosaic that way, but I wanted to cut out the piece of paper and stick them down and follow the prompt, so I went with the kind of difficult choice there to do it with the actual paper. But I do want to try and do a whole picture making it look like the mosaic by painting or colouring and then drawing in the lines maybe. But for this being a first try at mosaic, I'm pretty pleased with how she did turn out. I'm not sure there's much detail to be looking at, but we'll come in a little bit closer anyway. You might be able to see the glitter on the card. I'm not entirely sure. Glitter never wants to show up. But there we are again with the mermaid for mermaids. There's 3 I've coloured this month. Yeah, not something I usually go for as the mermaid kind of colourings, but there we go. That is my little mermaid with the mosaic, which is for the prompt of confetti from the Create This Book 2, and that picture is from the Manga Mermaids and Other Sea Creatures by Camilla de Erico. The next one I'm moving on to is from Find Colour by Gugeli or Gugeli. And this is an absolutely gorgeous book, but the paper in it is a little bit weird. If anybody has the book, they'll know what I'm on about there. It seems as if it should be watercolour paper, but it isn't quite. You can use watercolour on it, but it doesn't behave exactly as it does on watercolour paper. It is a little bit odd, but I have found that Prismacolor pencils do work on it quite well, so I wanted to come in with some Prismacolor pencils on this one. I did end up using a lot of collage as well, but it was a fun picture and quite a quick one. I did this lady here. And her hair and skin, that is all the Prismacolor pencils. These flowers here are collage. Her dress is actual collage, and that is mainly because I messed it up. I'll admit it, I'll hold my hands up, I messed it up completely. So I just ended up cutting out all this area here and sticking some paper behind, that we can see there. And this picture is one of the few in the book that is a single-sided. I think there's a couple that are single-sided, so I was able to come in with the collage there and just give her a pattern on her dress or kimono instead of the pencil that I was trying to do, and that's worked pretty well. The background is coffee, just painted on around our lady, trying to get a few kind of blobby bits of coffee going on there, and then splashed on into the background to fill up this space here a little bit, make it a bit more interesting. Her hair and skin is Prismacolor pencils and this little birdie here. We do have one little stick-on crystal there, and I tried to keep to the limited palette of maybe pink and purple and blue, something along those lines, with just a little splash of colour with the red of her lips there, and I think it has worked really, really nicely. Oh, I've spotted another stick-on crystal. Yeah, there's a little pearl on her forehead there as well. I think those circles were drawn on, and I wasn't sure exactly what they were supposed to be, so I stuck on my crystals, and I think that has worked really well. I'll bring her up a little bit for some close-up detail. And there we go, there's our lady there. There is some gold gel pen as well for this gold on the comb. The rest of the gold is Prismacolor pencil. We have the collage for her dress and for her flowers, kind of hydrangea sort of flowers in her hair they were. And then, yeah, Prismacolor pencils and the coffee. And that one was really quick and it was really fun. I think she ended up looking really pretty with that kind of limited palette there, purple, blue, kind of pink. I think it's all worked really nicely. And yeah, I do like the way that Prismacolor pencils work on this paper. So that's a tip for anyone who does have the book, does have the Prismacolor pencils. They do work. The paper is a little bit rough, so they do wear down. But yeah, I do like how they work. So yeah, I'm going to go for that, I think. And that is the one that I coloured in Find Colour by Gugeli or Gugeli. And this one I'm not 100% happy with. I have to say that off the bat. I'm not 100% happy with this picture in this one. This is Mythographic Magical Earth by Joseph Catimbang. And this picture I started filling it out with water-based markers, the Hoo water-based markers I started filling out and basing with. And I got quite far along with it. I started detailing, filling in few bits with pencils. Then I realised, yeah, I shouldn't have used these colours. I wanted to use completely different colours. I'll show you what I'm actually on about here. Unfortunately, I didn't take a screenshot or a photo of this before I actually did go in with the collage on this one. But this flamingo here, he's standing in the water, has a little palm tree in the background, and his back had some kind of cliffs and more palm trees, and coming up to the top here it had a little tower and maybe a house of some sort as well. Lots of trees, lots of greenery, and as you know I don't like colouring the trees, the greenery, all that kind of stuff, and I had gone in and based it all with green, this kind of green here, and I really didn't like how that was looking with my pink flamingo. I didn't like it at all. I really wished that I had maybe gone in with a blue or some sort of fantasy colour for my plants and trees, but I hadn't. And I really didn't want to go in with the acrylic marker and try and cover it up because, as I said, my acrylic markers are not the most opaque. I really do need to get some more opaque acrylic markers, and I didn't think that would work covering it up. So what I decided to do was make up my own little bit of nonsense on the back of the flamingo there with this birthday cake that I cut off of a gift bag here, and some flowers from scrapbooking paper. There's a few flower stickers as well there, the same kind I used in My Little Pony book, I think. And yeah, I think it works okay. But looking at it now, I think I really should have done these clouds a different colour to maybe make the flamingo stand out a little bit more. I have tried to do a little bit of outlining with the gold and the white and a darker black outline to make him stand out, but I'm not entirely sure it's really working. I did stick on some silver stars here because there were a lot of stars drawn in the background, really teeny tiny stars. I just covered all those up with the stickers. And where the tower was here, I cut a circle out of some silver card, the same silver card I used for my mermaid's picture to punch the holes. I stuck that on to be a moon to cover up this tower and the house here, and then just stuck on all my little kind of bits there. I went around the edge with some washi tape again, trying to bring in the same colours from the image to the outside in the frame, and it's done. It's okay, but I don't love it. I'm not 100% happy. Yeah, I have to say I don't love this one. I was really happy to have it finished, I will say, and honestly this does look a lot better than my attempt at the trees and the grass and the hills and stuff that was going on there. I should have really took a picture of it before I did stick everything down, but yeah, it was hills and trees and grass and tower at the top. But yeah, I'm not sure mine makes any more or any less sense than having an island on the back of a flamingo, but yeah, I went with the birthday cake. And yeah, it's finished. That's about all I can say about that one. So yeah, there we go. That is my flamingo. I do quite like how this water turned out. I like the rocks. I will say that. The clouds, yeah, I would be happy with them if they didn't clash so much with the pink of the flamingo, but it's done. That's all I can say about that one, really. It is done. Yeah, that one is from Mythographic Magical Earth by Joseph Catimbang. I'm going to be really brave now and show you this picture that I'm totally not happy with, and I'm not exactly sure how I will be able to go ahead and rescue it. This is from Fantastic Beasts Magical Creatures colouring book. I'm not sure if there is an artist. Yeah, there's a few different artists listed in the front there, so there is various artists in this book. And the one I decided to try and colour from here is the Thunderbird. If anybody's seen the film The Thunderbird, he does have a name, Frank, I think it is. And yeah, this is how far I've gotten with that. This half of the page I'm pretty happy with, I have to say. I have stuck washi tape across this pattern at the top and just covered that up with the shades of washi tape. And in the middle I tried to do a kind of stormy sky with watercolours and have the bird with lightning kind of flashing off of his wings there. And a part of the reason why I think it did fail is down to myself, really, because I did want to keep this page on the other side here, this kind of portrait page. I wanted to be able to colour her because I do like colouring my portraits, and I do know that the watercolour does come through on this paper, so I tried to leave that space there as clear as possible. So I've left this kind of gap in the clouds here, and I'm not entirely sure that that works at all. I'm really not happy with it. I might try and go ahead and finish him off to see if I can kind of make it look a little bit better once it is finished. Maybe the reason is because the lightning is showing up quite a lot better on this side of the page. I've done exactly the same with this lightning here, but I think it just looks a bit odd coming through that kind of space in the middle that I wanted to be a space in the clouds, like a break in the clouds, and the bird has flown his way through there. Not entirely sure that works at all, so I may have to think about a way to try and save that. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, at the moment this is looking a bit of a fail to me, but I will show you guys anyway. Yeah, because it is something that I did actually work on this month, and it did take quite a while, so yeah, I'm a little bit upset that this one did end up as a failure. He did fit in quite nicely with my storms theme for the month, which is why I picked him to colour in, but yeah, something about the execution there, the way I've done that lightning, that isn't working for me, so I might figure out a way to fix him at some point. But just as a little bit of transparency, yeah, he's kind of a work in progress, not one that I'm not sure that I will go back to, but if I do think of any ideas to go back to him, I will go back and try and fix him. And that is all the work that I actually did do this month. A slightly longer video than usual I think this will be, because there is quite a few pictures I did actually end up doing this month. That's the most pictures I've actually shown, I think, on one of my finished pages video. I did manage to do a few that went with my theme of storms, which is really good, and a few that fitted in with the theme of mermaid, which is also something I don't normally do. And for the theme for next month, I was a little bit stuck on something to be doing until my son reminded me it is Pride Month next month. So my theme for next month, with it being Pride Month, is rainbow. So I'm going to try and make sure that every page that I do colour next month has at least a little bit of rainbow going on in it, which should be quite interesting. Whether that's a traditional rainbow or just a lot of rainbow colours, bright clashing colours going on, I don't know. We'll see what we do end up with. But that will be my theme for next month. That will be rainbow theme for Pride Month for June, which should be a lot of fun. So hopefully you've enjoyed looking back at all the pages I coloured during May of 2025. If you did enjoy the video, please consider liking and subscribing. Take care everyone, and I'll see you in future videos.